All right, so we have another very fascinating trade. It's been the year of the trades. Finally, teams are trading. First, I should just mention, you might notice I'm a little sweaty right now. I was in the middle of a run when this news broke, so I ran as fast as I could to get home to talk about this. So that's why the video is also out a little bit later than it otherwise would have been. But still, if this is news to you, the trade is Roquan Smith, the former first round pick by the Chicago Bears, has now been traded for a second round and a fifth round pick. He's currently, it's a 1 year, it's a rental basically. I mean, this feels like a true rental, which you almost never see in football. Usually every trade is, you're getting someone for several years, kind of in this scenario, but not exactly, because he's due $9.7 million, which I'm assuming the way that works is that the Bears paid for what they already paid for the game checks, and now the Ravens are paying the rest. That's what I'm assuming happens. I'm not sure exactly, but that's at most what the Ravens are going to be taking on for 1 year. And after this, I mean, he's a free agent, so you could franchise tag him if you want to. I think a lot of people are thinking maybe Lamar Jackson is the bigger priority, as he might be the guy who they franchise tag instead, as Lamar also, they were, also on the last year of his deal, as we know. So it's very fascinating, I think, in two ways. First, let's just talk about the Ravens right now. Then we'll talk about the Bears right now, and then we'll talk about kind of the Ravens for the future. So first, the Ravens right now, what this means for them. I think I like it. Actually, you know what? Before we do any of this stuff, let's talk about who Roquan Smith is as a player, because if you look at his Pro Football Focus grades, they're not a big fan of him. They have him as one of the, not one of the worst linebackers in football, but pretty close. They have him not even as a top 32 linebacker. They don't have him as a top 64 linebacker currently. So they do not think he's very good. I've always kind of felt like he's better than what their grades are, though. I like Pro Football Focus. I like their grades. I do. But I've always felt like he's a better player than that, so I don't actually hate this. I'm actually very fascinated by this trade more than anything, because to me, Roquan Smith is someone who he might not hit every play. There are going to be plays you're going to see him miss. There are going to be the downsides to his game. I think that that's totally fair, and I think that that's reasonable. But I also feel like he can make splash plays. And in this Ravens defense, that might be exactly what they need. They already have a vacuum there at linebacker with, Patrick Queen, who's another kind of linebacker that makes some splash plays but doesn't do a lot of consistent good play. Roquan Smith kind of in the same realm. Roquan Smith has had some good years, though, too. Really, again, if you look at PFF grades, they loved one of his years, didn't like any of the other ones. But again, I've always kind of felt like he's better than that. But the Ravens decided to give up a second and a fifth round pick. To me, what they're getting is a risk. That's just the way I view it. I view it as a guy who could really work out. There could be a scenario that he's awesome in this defense. I absolutely can envision that. There could be a scenario where he's not very good in this defense. I think both are very true. So you're giving up a lot, I think, is the kind of the idea for, a second and a fifth round pick is a ton of value for a guy who appears to be just one year rental. So you're getting 10 games plus the playoffs, and then you're also, you don't even know if it's going to work out. But to me, I still like this move. And the reason why I like this move is, listen, a second round pick is that's a valuable asset. That can definitely help your roster. But this is the last year of Lamar Jackson making basically nothing, right? Lamar Jackson only making, his cap number is 23 mil, or excuse me, that's Ronnie Staley's cap number. His cap number is somewhere in there, but he's been making very little, Lamar is. And that's the mindset is, hey, this is the guy who is not making a ton of money, cap number 23 million. So actually, there you go. But, that's nothing for quarterback dollars. He's on a rookie deal still. This is the last year that we can really go all in on Lamar Jackson. Let's go all in on Lamar Jackson. I like that. Kind of thing I say is a second round pick an asset? Sure, but that second round pick is not helping you win a Super Bowl this year. But, Roquan Smith certainly might. So I like the move, even if I think that Roquan Smith maybe isn't as good as his name brand is. This happens a lot where a guy gets drafted in the first round, and unless they come in and suck, which Roquan Smith hasn't, people act like they're a superstar. I mean, like Devin White's the perfect example of guys will still sit here and say that Devin White is a great player, even though he's never been good. Roquan Smith has been good. He has had flashes. He's been a bit inconsistent. So that's kind of, that's the difference there. Roquan Smith is still a valuable asset to add to your team. And I think that, again, maybe they're going to keep Roquan Smith and let Lamar Jackson walk. I don't know, because, again, heading into the next season, they have about $48 million in cap space cleared up for next year, so they could potentially still get both of those guys. It doesn't have to be a pure rental, but I think you're making this trade with the idea that it could be a rental in mind, and that brings us to the Bears, who. Great win for the Bears, right? I mean, you're getting rid of a second and a fifth round pick back for a guy that all the reports are they weren't going to be able to re-sign him. They weren't going to give the contract that Roquan Smith wanted. So Roquan Smith was going to want probably more money than he deserves. He's probably going to get more money than he deserves. So trade him now, where you're getting assets back, and this ended up being a pretty good deal for the Bears to, for next year, they're in a much better spot, and this is why trades make sense. The Bears aren't going anywhere. The Ravens, I put them in my contenders tier when I ranked every team into tiers, which you can check out on this channel. So yeah, if you're a contender, trade with a team that's not a contender, so that way the team that's not a contender can rebuild easier, and the team that is a contender can, potentially win a Super Bowl. We just saw this with the Rams when they got not just Von Miller, but Matthew Stafford. Look at the Lions and the Rams and how much better they feel because of that trade. The Rams have Stafford win a Super Bowl. The Lions get the extra draft capital and are now rebuilding easier than they would be if they had Stafford. So it's working out really well for both parties. This is a trade that I think, I know it's the boring answer. I feel like everyone always says win by both sides. If you have to say who's the winner, I'd say the Bears are more of a winner than the Ravens, but I still like the Ravens making this move. I still like both of these teams making the move. The question, of course, will be for the future for the Ravens. Kind of touched on it already. The $48 million in cap space. You do have some free agents, though. So what's the plan from here on out? Again, Lamar Jackson, to me, I'm just paying him. I think Lamar Jackson is awesome. I think give him the money. I want him on my football team. That's the move. And I don't think that this Roquan Smith trade means that they're not going after him, because like I said, there is a way that they can make the money work and get both of these guys. So it's not like this guarantees that Lamar is gone or anything like that. Plus, this could just be a rental. I think that that's totally possible as well. This is kind of a position of weakness. So being able to go out and get someone like this, to me, it just makes a ton of sense, and I'm all for it, and I'm excited to see that there's trades all of a sudden happening. All these trades are happening, and it's really fascinating. To me, it's kind of something I've been pounding the table for. I feel like since I started this channel of teams should trade more often. Why don't they do this? I think the Rams, what they did last year, maybe has gotten teams to feel like, oh, maybe we should start doing this as well, where you can get some players. And I think the Bears doing a lot of smart stuff, being the team who's willing to sell. Like Roquan Smith, he's just not helping you. Like he doesn't add value to this Bears team unless you unless you somehow make the playoffs, which I don't think they will. I mean, that's the reality of the situation for them. He's not a valuable asset because he's going to help them win games, which they don't want right now. And then he's going to probably walk in free agency. But now a second round pick and a fifth round pick, that's definitely valuable. Just great stuff all around. That's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.